Hi folks, I'm Chris, you're watching FRAG-MENTAL. I've got a few more spring fragrances for you today, this time some niche. Stay tuned to FM. As you might know, I've already done my main spring list. I could have put way more fragrances into that video, but I like to keep them to 10. I don't like them to go on for too long, so I've done 2 extra videos. One where I'm recommending some designer spring fragrances that I couldn't fit onto the main list, and then this video where I'm recommending to you some niche fragrances. So yeah, it's a spring video. You might notice I've got quite a warm looking jacket on here. I've come out early to film. I'm in the back garden. These are the lengths that I go to for you. All right, so let me let you know about a few great spring niche fragrances that I'd like to recommend. The first one I'm going to talk about is an exciting American brand. They're based in New York. They're called Kierin NYC. I've already talked about one of their fragrances on my summer list from last year, which was Sunday Brunch, which is a lovely kind of citrusy, Earl Grey tea, refreshing fragrance. I also love the fragrance I'm about to talk about. I think it's really well suited for spring. It's called Santel Sky. The main notes in this one are saffron, sandalwood and vetiver, and I will say that it's perhaps not the most natural smelling sandalwood fragrance I've ever smelled. That's not a criticism because I really enjoy it. I find it a very interesting fragrance. It's mildly spiced from the saffron, and I get a little bit of smokiness from the vetiver, just a tiny bit, but it's there, making it a really unique and interesting fragrance. It doesn't develop that much. It stays relatively linear, but again, I'm totally fine with that. I get a good performance out of this one. Also has like a fresh laundry type of appeal. So from that you get a comforting feeling from it. It's uplifting, it's interesting, and it's pretty cheap. You can pick up this 50ml bottle for just £65 here in the UK. I'm sure it's a similar price in the States. If you're unsure of where to pick this one up from, just Google it and it'll come up with a load of websites that you can purchase this. £65 for 50ml, which I think is great value. Santel Sky. Next up is a fragrance from Masque Milano. I had their discovery set, and this fragrance is one that really stood out to me. Really enjoyed it. If you like sweet fragrances, you may like this one. It's called Times Square. So you get quite a few florals in this one. There's some violet, there's a dab of rose, and there's quite a lot of sweet tuberose. Kind of smells like candy. The violet in this is giving it almost like a, you know, the Parma Violet sweets or the Parma Violet candy. Those little tablets that you can get. Reminds me of that a little bit. And then you get a bubblegum accord to this one as well. A lot of the times in fragrances, tuberose can have quite a sweet bubblegum type of accord, and I think you do get that from this. So yeah, it's quite a sweet fragrance, but it's not all sweetness. There's some creamy sandalwood, there's some gaiac wood here giving it some structure in the base. And I'd say that it reminds me a little bit of dry ice in nightclubs. You know, that sweet smelling smoke that you get in nightclubs? Not that I've smelt that for a while, but it does remind me of that a little bit. Look, this one is sweet, it's fun and attention grabbing, and also comes in a really, really cool bottle. Next one I'm going to mention to you is a fragrance that I think you could actually wear all year round, but for me it works best in the transitional seasons of autumn and here in spring. I'd wanted this fragrance for the longest time, like a long time, and earlier this year, I finally pulled the trigger on what a lot of people describe as a masterpiece. From Andy Tower, it's L'air de Desert Marocain. I think I'd agree that this one is a masterpiece. It's a sweet, powdery patchouli based fragrance. I'm not really going to go any further breaking down notes for you because I don't think it does it justice. It's far more than what the notes of this look like on paper. It's some kind of alchemy happened when Andy made this one. It's a fine blend. It's uplifting, but it's got a thickness. It reminds me a little bit of sweet, damp woods, so maybe you're in a forest and it's rained and it's drying out and you've just got a sweet smell of some of the woods in the forest. Whatever it is, I just find this enchanting and intoxicating, and at the moment I would say it's one of my favourites in my collection. The next one I'm going to talk to you about is from a brand called Bacchus. I've recently discovered them. They're based in the Lakes and I love the Lake District, so I really wanted to love this brand, and when they sent me a couple of their fragrances, I did. The one I'm going to talk to you about today is the one I think is fantastic for spring. It's called Patchouli and Black Pepper. This stuff is just great. To give you a bit of an idea of what it smells like, it reminds me a little bit of a fragrance that's getting quite a lot of buzz. I see a lot of people talking about this, which is from Nishane, and it's called Annie. So that is a patchouli and vanilla fragrance, and this reminds me of it. I'm not saying it's the same, but I think it's in the same genre. It's actually composed by perfumer Ruth Mastenbrook, so some talent has gone into this one. The spices give it lift, the vanilla gives it sweetness, the amber gives it depth. I'm just really impressed. It smells high quality, it pretty much does everything I want out of a spring fragrance. Performance is fantastic, which when you consider the price point, which is only £42 for one of these 60ml bottles. The bottles look great, the scent is great, the performance is good, so really I'm surprised that the brand are managing to offer such great fragrances at such a low price. If you've not heard of this brand, do go over to their website, grab a sample set, see what you think. Make sure you include this one, and really also loved Slate as well, so grab a few in their sample set. I'll leave a link in the description below the video to make it easy for you to find them.
Join the Scent Geeks every Monday as we podcast about all things fragrance. You'll find us anywhere you can usually find a podcast. Links are in the description below this video. See you there, geeks.
Next up is a fragrance from Aaron Terence Hughes. This is one of my favourites of his. It's Onyx. This is one sexy fragrance. It's rose chocolate oud, along the lines of Tom Ford's Noir de Noir, so it gives me that kind of chocolatey, rosy, Turkish delight accord. If you don't like Noir de Noir, some people think the rose in there maybe leans a little too feminine. Personally, I don't. I love it. But that gives you an idea of the profile of this scent, just so you know whether it might be for you or not. This, I think, to me, smells more natural than Noir de Noir, possibly because of the natural oud used in here. It's bigger, it's bolder, it's more sensual, it's thicker. So it's in that genre, but I think it's a bigger fragrance. I think it's a stronger fragrance. I certainly get much better performance. Projection off this is great, and it just lasts and lasts and lasts. My friend Monica tried this in a video that I did where she was rating some of my oud-based fragrances, and her reaction was great. So if you want to see Monica's reaction, you can go to her channel. I'll leave a link to that video, and then from there follow on to Monica's channel. She's got a great channel as well. Onyx is unisex, it's attention grabbing, it's one of Aaron's best sellers, and I can see why. Once upon a time, this crazy, lovable guy came all the way from Chicago to meet me here in York for just a few hours. And when he came, he brought me Zaharoff Signature Pour Homme. George is an amazing guy. He's so positive, and I had a great comment on one of my videos where I talked about this fragrance, and it was something along the lines of George is bringing the fragrance community together with one fragrance. And I just thought that was so beautifully put, actually, because he's been all over the world visiting people who create content for YouTube. He is bringing everyone together with his positivity. He's also been all over the world sourcing the ingredients for this fragrance. You can go on his website and you can watch mini documentaries about him searching out all the different natural ingredients that goes into this. So he went to great lengths to compose this fragrance and create it for us. George is a guy that has so much love to give, and part of that love is given to us in this fragrance. It opens up and starts smelling a little bit like an old school lavender type fragrance. It's got that classic feel to it, but then quite quickly it turns into more of a Middle Eastern fragrance, so it's more resinous and becomes more mysterious. It's a relatively safe fragrance, but it's creative. I guess a fragrance that is called Signature shouldn't smell too out there, but this is just such, for me, an easy where it's one classy fragrance, just like the man who made it. On to the last one, and this is one I've talked about quite a lot recently. It's one of my best discoveries so far this year from the brand Argos, not the store, the fragrance company. It's Triumph of Bacchus. In this we've got saffron, fruits, tonka bean, tobacco. This smells rich and opulent, but at the same time it's uplifting and invigorating. Such an easy to wear fragrance. This is just pure class in a bottle. I found that I've been wearing this quite a lot recently, partly because I just love the fragrance, but partly because I like picking up this very handsome bottle. I believe the brand is doing really well. Christian, the owner of the brand, has been telling me they've been selling out. Actually, as of making this video, I think Triumph of Bacchus is sold out, but go along to their website. I'm sure they'll have some back in stock soon. I'll leave a link in the description so you can follow that link and go to the site. And if you do feel like picking this or any of their fragrances up, use my code FRAG-MENTAL10 and that'll give you some discounts. I'm loving this, and you know, I'm really excited to see what Argos are going to bring us in the future based on the recent fragrances they've released. So there you go, some extra spring fragrance recommendations for you. What do you think of these fragrances? Do you own any of them? Have you tried them? Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, throw some recommendations at me. Maybe there's some that you love for spring, some niche fragrances that I haven't tried, so please do let me know about those. Right, it's Saturday morning here, and it's about time I went and had a coffee and had my breakfast, so I'm gonna sign off. I hope you enjoyed the video, hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, keep tuning into FM and keep smelling good.